welcome Jane Curth. She's here today. She's a kinesiologist and a retired professor, and she is going to be talking about food as fuel. This is a certification course, so prepare yourself for learning a lot about food and learning a lot about what food can do for us. I'd also like to let you know that we're going to be muting you when you come in. If you have a question, you can raise your hand or put it in the chat box. And at times I may open it up so that you can ask a question if you'd like, and I will unmute you. So, but if you don't hear that, please just hold your questions till the end, okay? So without further ado, welcome Jane.
Thanks, Debbie. I'm so excited to be doing this, and I'm glad that I'm talking with probably elementary and middle school students, because I'm used to teaching college, and so this is refreshing for me. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm a mom to 5 grown kids and a grandmother to 3, but I'll tell you a little bit more about myself, but I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Good, good. Okay, as you see, there are a lot of different food options on this slide, and we're going to be talking about a lot of them, but we really want to focus on food as fueling your body and fueling it well. And so I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself first before we get into the content for this class. Let's see, as Debbie said, I am a retired, a retired professor in kinesiology and health. And if you don't know what kinesiology is, it's the study of movement. And I'm actually retired from Georgia State University in Atlanta, Georgia. I did teach for a while at Emory University, also in Atlanta. And Emory's it's a private liberal arts school. For 14 years, I owned a ballet studio. I started my early career as a ballet dancer and owned a studio for 14 years. I eventually sold it to a friend of mine and was hired to teach at the college and university level, to teach health, wellness, physical education, dance, the whole gamut. As I said earlier, I'm a grandmother. This is Oliver. He's 5½, and as you can see, he loves space. His t-shirt has space items on it, and he has star sunglasses, and Oliver lives in Atlanta too, so I do get to see him, you know, a good bit. And I'm also a grandmother. Let me get to Dempsey, a 2-year-old, and his sister Harton, who's 6 months old, but they live in New Orleans, Louisiana. And as you can see in that picture, Dempsey is not real happy with his sister. And I'm sure any of the students that are listening to this can relate to having unhappy siblings in your family. And I'm finally, this is my newest job. I'm co-founder and CEO of what's called FitFixNow. I'm also certified to be a personal trainer. And I took the online education model. The last 5 years at the college, I taught totally online. I took that model and used it for continuing education for fitness professionals so that they can stay certified by their agency. Okay, let's get a little bit into the topic now. And I'm gonna be speaking initially about gas in your car. Now, today we have great alternative fuel vehicles. Hang on, I lost my headset. But when this story happened, we didn't. This happened many, many years ago when my middle son, who is now 35, was in middle school. So let me tell you a little bit more about what happened. We actually ran out of gas, and I had never run out of gas before, and I had a busy day. I'd taught at the college all day. He had a piano lesson, so I rushed to his school, picked him up, was driving to his piano teacher's house, and my car started just kind of slowing down and making noises, and it stopped. And I knew immediately that I'd run out of gas. So I called his piano teacher, and she said, I'll come get him and you get someone to bring you gas. So if you keep that image of your car running out of gas, needing fuel, that's what your body needs. So we're going to talk about how to put gas in your body or fuel in your body so that you can be healthy. You can have what we call a high quality of life. And healthy food will actually boost your immune system. So that's something we want to really concentrate on now. To begin with, we're going to talk about the macronutrients. And these are the large nutrients that you need in your body. You need fats, protein, and carbs. And here's just a short little example of each. So the macronutrients, you want them in large supply in your body, and let's delve into each one of them a little bit more. Carbohydrates, these are just their primary functions, their main function in your body. Carbohydrates is your preferred energy source. Your muscles need carbohydrates to use as an energy source to move your body to function. So carbohydrates is the preferred energy source for the body. Proteins, their primary function is to build and repair muscle and body tissue. Proteins can also be an energy source, but it's not the preferred one by the body. And then we have fats. And fats are used as energy storage for vitamins, for production of hormones, and as protection for our organs. So fats are also an energy source, but again, carbohydrates is the preferred. Now, a little bit more about each of these. Carbohydrates, 1 gram of carbohydrates is actually 4 calories. Proteins, a gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So we want to be mindful of this as we talk further about these macronutrients. So for carbohydrates, some of the examples of a carbohydrate would be bread, rice, the starchy vegetables, potatoes, corn. But then carbohydrates are also the non-starchy vegetables, some dairy, fruit, sugar. So as you can see with carbohydrates, you've got the healthy ones and the not so healthy ones. I think more recently, carbs have gotten a bad name, and that's primarily talking about the refined breads, the refined rice, pasta, potatoes, the starchy vegetables, and the grains that are not whole grains that are refined. They call those carbs, and that's true. But carbohydrates are also broccoli, cauliflower, all your leafy greens. So when we talk carbohydrates, it really includes it all. And then, there's the sugar, the simple carbohydrates. So the fruit sugars, refined sugars, those are all carbohydrates. Some examples of proteins would be meat, fish and seafood. Eggs are proteins, some dairy, some beans, and soy and tofu. And now, as we talk about macronutrients, some of them can be in all three categories, like dairy. So it sometimes is a little confusing. So just kind of hang in there with us right now, because there is a crossover in some of the macros. Now with fats, we have two categories. We have saturated fats and we have unsaturated fats. You really want to stay away from the saturated fats. And these would include fat that's on meat. Like if you've ever had, if your family's had a steak and you see that, that marbling around it, that's the meat fat, and you want to limit that. The skin on chicken is a meat fat. Butter is considered saturated. Full fat dairy, some oils, like lard, things like that. But saturated fat is also in great amounts in chips, cookies, and cakes. Now the unsaturated are what you want more of, like the fish, the nuts, avocados, your vegetable oils like olive oil. These are healthy fats, and you do want to get them into your diet, but you want to make sure that you don't take them in abundance, because like nuts, I love nuts, and we talked earlier that fats are 9 calories per gram. So if you eat half a container of nuts, you're going to get a ton of calories in. So you do want to limit your portion size for the unsaturated fats, but they are healthy for you. So, you know, check with your parents, make sure they're using the healthy unsaturated fats. I would like to say with butter too, it's sometimes some butters, we love an Irish butter called Kerrygold. It can be healthier than some of the other options. So just be mindful. And again, don't pile on the butter if you're using it. Okay, let me give you a few tips as far as eating each of these categories of the macronutrients. With carbohydrates, you want to choose the whole grains. We mentioned earlier that the refined breads, pastas, whatever, are also carbohydrates, but as far as eating, you need to eat whole grains. You want to eat a variety of fruits, vegetables, legumes, and dairy. So make that, you know, a variety, and very small amounts of sweets and chocolate. And if you're going to eat chocolate, it's preferred to eat the dark chocolate because there are health benefits to the dark chocolate. Proteins. You want to choose the lean meats. I know that I don't really eat beef, but I love bison. Bison is actually buffalo meat, but it's very lean, and it's a red meat that's much leaner than beef. You want to include fish in your diet, and I don't know how many of you really like fish, but include fish, but fish cooked in healthy ways, not battered in flour and fried. You want to include healthy recipes of fish. Add legumes to dishes, you know, chickpeas, beans, things that can really boost your protein. And if you're a vegetarian, that's a good way to get protein into your diet, is to add more legumes. Your fats, you want to use the unsaturated oils. Remember, we talked about the saturated fats are very unhealthy, and so you really want to use the unsaturated oils. Cut off the meat fat, off the beef, off the chicken, whatever the meat is. Try to remove that meat fat. And snack on nuts. That's a good way to get in more healthy fats into your diet. Okay, we're gonna play a little game right now. We're gonna have some fun with food labels. And I failed to mention at the beginning that I wanted you to get a food label. So I know Debbie's got some. If you have something sitting around right now, pick it up. But what we're gonna focus on are the ingredients on the food label, and these are underneath the actual nutrition facts where it says ingredients. So Debbie, think I should stop sharing this screen?
Sure, and I have plenty of labels here that anyone can see on pretty normal looking products.
Okay.
So I have, I'll start it out with a cereal box. There's a whole lot here.
Yeah, I'm seeing milled corn sugar, contains 2% or less of corn syrup, salt, barley, malt extract. Yes. Now, okay, one thing while Debbie's showing this, the ingredient that's listed first is the largest amount of, so that's the one with the most ingredients. So milled corn is the biggest ingredient in this food. The last one listed is wheat starch, and that's the smallest amount of ingredient. So when you look at the food labels, look at that. Milled corn, sugar, less than 2% of corn syrup. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you about corn syrup actually being sugar. So if you see corn syrup, that basically means sugar. Okay, here's another one. Let's look at this one. Okay, this one says whole grain oats, cornstarch, sugar, salt, some difficult words to name, and vitamin E added to preserve freshness. So this one does have whole grain, so it is a healthier option. It's much better for you than maybe the first one that Debbie showed us. This one, Debbie, lower that. I mean, let me see a little bit higher.
This is the healthier one, and
yes.
This is the first one. And you wanted to see it a little higher?
Yeah. Let's see how much sugar is. Lower it a little bit. Okay, total sugar is 2 grams. Okay, that's not bad. Let's look at the total, and that's without, no, it's the same with milk and all of that. Let's look at the other one and see how many grams of sugar is in that. Ooh, 15 grams. 15 grams of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. It's recommended that you stay around 25 grams of sugar a day. So if you just have 1 1/4 cup of that cereal, you're going to be getting in a lot of sugar. And most people don't eat 1 1/4 cup of cereal. They eat more than 1 1/4 cup.
I also have snacks here if you want to see those.
Yeah, let's see the snacks.
Okay, so we'll start with this one. I'm sure people have seen that before.
Yes.
And I'll try to get it real close.
Okay, lower it. Okay, wait, I got it. Corn, vegetable oil. So it has corn, canola, and or sunflower oil and salt. Okay, so the corn, if you can put it back up for just a second.
Yeah.
That's good. So corn is the ingredient that's the largest in this product. Salt being the lowest. Debbie, lower it a little bit. Let's see if there's any sugar in this. 1 gram. Oh no, that's fiber. 0 sugar, which is okay, but you know, not an awesome choice. I know a lot of people like to eat the Tostitos with salsa. Salsa is a great thing, but you might try substituting raw vegetables with salsa. Okay, let's look at these parm chips.
This is I love these. So
And they're oven baked.
I'm curious to find out if they're any good.
Okay, aged Parmesan cheese, part skim milk, cheese cultures. What's the last ingredient?
The last one, it is small. Rennet. It's salt and non-animal rennet.
Okay.
That's
I'm not real sure what that is, but that is the smallest item. And I think it looks like no sugar is in that. And it's got some protein in it. This does seem to be a much better option than the tortilla. It has the aged cheese, and it does have some saturated fat, but I think that may be from the aged cheese. So this would be much better option than the tortilla chips.
Okay.
Okay. Let me share my screen again. And let me see if it will come up. Okay, here we go. So we looked at the ingredient list. First has the most ingredients in the product, and the last has the least ingredients in the product. And fat or sugar, if you notice fat or sugar listed first or second, that is a no food. Try not to eat that. Now, sometimes in the ingredients list, they will put other names for fat. So when you read those ingredients, you would want to look at, does it have vegetable, animal oil, or those types of fat? Coconut oil is usually high in fat, palm oil, shortening, lard, milk solids. Those, if you read that, it just means fat. Some other names for sugar. And there's so many words that are sugar that end in OSE. So anytime, Debbie, do you see any on your, the sugar cereal, in the ingredients, do you see any words ending in OSE?
I am looking, and I don't see any in the ingredients with OSC. I see 8, a lot of things ending in ATE, and but not OSE.
Okay, I think we did see corn syrup though, didn't we?
We saw, yes, we did,
Okay.
But that is ending, I think that's ending in here in an ATE.
Okay, well, some of the words that you would see in that would be sugar, the OSC, would be sucrose, dextrose. So look on food ingredients to see if you see any of that.
In this one, they just come right out and say corn syrup.
Yes.
They're not shy.
They're not shy. But you think corn, that maybe that's not too bad, but it's just another name for sugar. Malt, molasses, and fruit juice concentrate. So those are all other names you'd want to look for to see if the food item has sugar in it. Okay, let's keep going. I had this slide, what did you find out about the ingredients? So keep looking. After this is over, take time, go to your pantry, look to see what you have. You don't have to throw anything out, but just see what you've got that's healthy and not so healthy. And I think you can help your parents out to differentiate between the healthy and the unhealthy foods, because remember, it's still about putting fuel, good fuel, in our body. And when I talked about fuel earlier, I know that there have been times when there's been dirt or other things in fuel that you put in your car, and that'll damage your engine. And it's the same thing with food. If you put unhealthy food in your body, over the long term, it will cause different things. Especially us adults will deal with type 2 diabetes and obesity. And so over time, that can be harmful to your body. Okay, we're going to talk now about go slow and whoa foods. And pay attention, because we're going to do a little game in a minute after we talk about these foods. Your go foods are green light foods. These are ones that you can go, you can eat. So these foods would be low in fat, added sugar, and low in calories. This would include like fresh and frozen fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and they are low in calories, but you still have to be mindful of quantity. And whole grains are going to be higher in calories than vegetables. So, but as you're growing, you need lots of these fresh and frozen vegetables, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. I was hearing the other day that frozen fruits can be as healthy as the fresh fruits because they're picked at the height of ripeness and freshness, and then they're flash frozen. So these frozen fruits can be a good option for you if you're limited as far as getting to the store. Your slow foods are more like a yellow light food. I'm using the analogy of the traffic light, and you may have heard these before in school or in your studies. The yellow light foods you can have, a few times a week. They are higher in fat, added sugar, and calories. 100% fruit juice, which is different from the juice from concentrate, that's a slow food. Usually 100% fruit juice is still high in sugar, so that's why it's more of a slow food. It's better to eat, let's say it's apple juice, it's better to eat an apple than to have 100% apple juice. With the apple, you get fiber, you get all kind of other nutrients. So if you've got a choice between the 100% fruit juice and the fruit itself, eat the fruit itself. White or refined flour, like the breads, refined flour breads, pastas, your baked potato chips. And we noticed that Debbie's Parmesan chips were baked. So that is a better option than the fried tortilla chips. The whoa foods are the red light foods. They are very high in fat, added sugar, and calories, and they should only be taken in occasionally. We're not saying never have them, but really, really limited the amount of these whoa foods you take in. And some examples of the whoa foods would be sodas, which are most of them are very high in sugar, unless they're diet sodas. And then diet sodas have other things in it that aren't good for your body. So stay away from sodas, donuts, cookies, cakes, and high sugar cereals. So Debbie, unfortunately, one of your cereals is a whoa food. Okay, we're going to play a game now, and there are no losers because we all win. And I'm going to let Debbie unmute you now if you'd like to, because I'd like everybody that's available to participate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a food. And I want you to let me know if it's, oh, no, don't tell me.
At the very beginning of influenza.
I want you to
or Alzheimer's disease.
do a
before we feel
if it's a whoa, slow, or go food. If it's a go food, I want you to jog in place, run in place. If it's a slow food, I want you to walk in place. And if it's a whoa food, I want you to sit down. So if you want to put your camera on, you can. If not, that's okay. But what we're going to do is participate in this game, keep track of how many you got right, and see, there are only 6, but let's see how many that you get right. So everybody that's there, stand up. And this is our first food. This is strawberries. And I'm going to give you, let me get my timer. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. And if you think it's a go food, I want you to jog. If it's a slow food, I want you to walk. And if it's a whoa food, I want you to sit down. So, go. Stop. And that was a go food. So hopefully you were jogging. This, I love activity. So hopefully this is helping you get a little bit of movement in this morning. Okay, here we have a soda. And go. Go, slow, or whoa. Stop. That is a whoa food. Remember we talked about the sugary sodas. Broccoli. What do you think? Go. And stop. Broccoli is a go food. You want lots of broccoli in. I'm not crazy about broccoli, but I like it better raw than I do cooked. So I eat it raw. Pancakes. What do you think? Those look delicious, don't they? Okay, ready? What are they? Pick what you're supposed to do. Stop. They're a whoa food. Okay, even though they're delicious, they are a whoa food. It means you can have them occasionally, just not very often, as a special treat, or, you know, on a lazy weekend, whatever you want. Okay, olive oil. Go, slow, or whoa. Run, walk, or sit. Stop. Olive oil is a slow food. Olive oil is good for you, but remember it's a fat, and fats are high in calories. Okay, mashed potatoes. What do you think? Stop. They're a slow food. Now, a baked potato would be a go food, but mashed potatoes is a slow food. It's got, usually has milk, butter, and so you want to take it slow with mashed potatoes. Okay, well, that's most of my presentation for today, but I'd love to take some questions if you have some. So I'm going to stop sharing my slides and see if there are any questions.
I have one.
Sure.
What about rice?
That's a good question. Rice is, the white rice is usually refined. So a better choice would be the brown rice. So although I do still try to limit the starchy carbs, and even brown rice is one of the starchy carbs. So for myself, I take in rice in moderation and try to stick with the brown rice. And with pastas, I try to stick with the whole grain pastas. I have tried some of the gluten-free pastas too, but I just try to limit.
And how about bread?
Again, the whole grain breads are much better for you than the white breads, the refined breads. And you got to be cautious there. You know, a lot of the breads that say whole wheat aren't really whole wheat. They're almost as bad as the white breads, the refined breads. You want to get a 100% whole wheat bread. Make sure it's a true whole wheat bread.
I'd like to invite anyone who might have a question. I'll unmute you if you'd like, but please just use your chat box to let me know, because we get a lot of feedback whenever I unmute anyone. So you can raise your hand or use your chat box if you'd like to let me know that you have a question. I'd like to say, Jane, that I actually have learned a lot about my eating habits today. And I was actually surprised, thinking that I was eating some really healthy things that weren't as healthy as they were. So this was quite a wake-up call for me. I'm really appreciative of this.
Well, thanks, Debbie. And I'd like to, you know, there are a lot of different thoughts out there now that adults are inundated with. The ketogenic diet, the paleo, and I did a course with a friend of mine who's a physician, but he's an integrative health physician in Philadelphia, and we titled it Nutrition is Medicine. And what he believes is the healthiest diet for adults is the Mediterranean diet, because you've got the omega-3 oils in fish, lots of healthy fruits and vegetables. So if my opinion and his, if you're an adult looking for a good way to eat, if you could follow that Mediterranean, and I'm saying diet, but I don't mean to lose weight, I mean to be healthy. The Mediterranean eating plan is a very healthy way to go. And just to piggyback on that, more recently, they've come out with what they call blue zone communities, and there are 5 in the world. And like Sardinia is one. There is one in Loma Linda, California. And all these blue zones are ones that where the people live to be 90, 100 years old with a high quality of life. And there's certain things that they do to, you know, that contribute to that. One is meaningful work. They have meaningful work well into their later years, but their diet plays heavily into that. And they do get in a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. They you know, fish, lean meats, olive oils, the good things that are for you. So for adults out there that are wanting to live a long, healthy, high quality of life, check out the blue zone communities, because they really are fascinating.
What about gluten-free? What do you think of gluten in a diet?
I was gluten-free for a while. And I did it more because I actually have some skin conditions like rosacea and psoriasis. And a registered dietitian I'd done some courses with said that would help with these conditions. And I did go gluten-free for a while. I didn't really notice a lot of difference. I think if you have celiac disease, it's incredibly important for your quality of life to be gluten-free. I think for others of us, it's not necessary. If you just want to do it, that's okay. But you know, they have, like, if you don't want to have pasta, you can have a gluten-free pasta. Pretty much same calories. You know, they still use starch, a lot of corn, those types of things. In fact, I think my food item, which I don't see right now, was a gluten-free item from Trader Joe's, and it had, you know, had a lot of corn in it. So that's the way I feel about the gluten-free.
Is corn really bad for you?
No, it's just one of those starchy vegetables. So corn, it has vitamins and minerals, but you don't want to load your body with a lot of the starches. It's better to go to the vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens. But corn, you know, in moderation, it's the difference between starchy carbs and the other carbs. So yeah, corn is not bad for you, but I do think you need to moderate the amount of starchy carbs you have.
I have another question. Someone asked, what about supplements? Are those good for kids, like vitamins, and are they good for adults?
Okay, I would check.
And protein bars.
And what?
And protein bars. Are those good for you?
About the supplements, I think it's really important to check with your physician to make sure that the supplements you're going to take aren't, don't harm what your maybe medicines you're having to take, especially for adults. So I would definitely check with the doctor. I take several supplements. I take cod liver oil. There's several that are specifically for me, but I actually had a breast cancer scare a few years ago, and with this registered dietitian, I did a genome test, a DNA test, to see where some of my deficiencies were, and she put me on several supplements, but I cleared all those supplements with my doctor, and most of them are like magnesium, calcium, you know, things that you need, vitamin D. So I always think with any type of supplement, it's okay, but get advice from your physician first. Oh, and what was the second part?
Protein drinks and bars. Are those good for you?
Yes and no. I think it can be a convenient way. Protein does give you longer lasting energy than carbohydrates, but the important thing to do is check the sugar in them. A lot of the protein bars are high sugar. A lot of the protein drinks are high sugar. I know I do like some of the Kind bars. They have a lot of nuts in them. Maybe they have a little dark chocolate on it, but they're low in sugar. So I would stay away from the protein bars that are high in sugar. Like I said earlier, you've got, you know, it's recommended you have like 25 grams of sugar a day. So like with your cereal, it was almost the whole day's worth of sugar that you should have. One other thing, I was going to meet a friend for lunch months ago, and we were going to a certain restaurant, and I thought, well, I'm going to plan before I go what I'm going to eat. So I looked at their menu, and I thought, oh, they had this salad with a raspberry vinaigrette. It sounded delicious. But I looked at the nutrition facts, and there was 27 grams of sugar in a serving of the raspberry vinaigrette. So I was like, okay, I need to rethink this, because that's more than the amount of sugar I should have in today. So read those food labels and check out how much sugar is in it.
Does anybody else have any more questions? I've gotten quite a few this morning. Does anyone want to send a private or public chat message, or would you like to be unmuted? You can raise your hand or send a message in the chat box if you'd like. I think that we've exhausted the questions today. It looks like everybody has, who's had a question has asked their question. And boy, did I learn a lot today.
Well, I hope it was informational, and that even the next time you're going to eat anything, figure out if it's a go, slow, or whoa food. And that may help you make your decision.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind everybody who was on today to please send an email so that we can send a certificate out to you. So please put it in the chat box. I'll collect it and I'll be able to get it to Jane for you. Thank you so much, Jane. This has been such a pleasure today. I can't wait to watch more of your videos that you have. And just to let everyone know, you have a lot of certificate programs and courses that people can take. And there are some that are free options. So yes. I will certainly be checking them out because I really learned a lot today. So
thank you. Our free course is on behavior change. So if you're interested in changing a behavior, it's good. And our nutrition as medicine has been a great course. It's geared to fitness professionals, but it's full of information. And if you're just a fitness enthusiast or interested in how to eat better, to make your life better, is a great course.
Thanks so much, Jane. Everyone have a great day. I'm going to end this session now and go pick a healthy choice today.
Thanks, Debbie.